Hey everyone. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. It really helps YouTube recommend more stories like this one to you. Alright, let's jump right in. The headlights were still on when we got there. I remember how wrong that felt. White beams cutting through the fog, motor humming soft and steady, like someone had just stepped away for a minute. But there was no one, no footprints in the gravel, no other cars on that stretch of County Road 7. Just us, me and Ramirez, and a silver Honda idling at the edge of the woods. Maybe someone broke down and walked, he said, though his voice didn't sound sure. He had one hand on his flashlight, the other near his holster. It was 2:47 a.m. The road was empty, black as ink, the kind of silence that presses on your chest. I stepped closer. The air was cold enough to bite through my gloves, and the smell of exhaust hung thick and wet. I leaned down to the driver's side window. The keys were still in the ignition, engine on, gear in park, but the seat was pushed all the way back, like whoever was driving had been tall or had left in a hurry. "Dispatch, this is Unit 43, Ramirez said into his radio. "We've got an abandoned vehicle, engine running, no visible occupant. Requesting plate check on..." He trailed off because the music started. It wasn't loud at first, just a faint hum from the speakers, static mixed with what sounded like someone breathing too close to a microphone. Then words began to form through the noise. "He's behind you." I froze. I looked at Ramirez, expecting him to laugh or say it was interference, but he was pale, eyes fixed on the radio. "Turn it off," I muttered. He did. The noise stopped immediately. Just the soft purr of the engine again. That's when we noticed the door. The passenger side was slightly open, not much, maybe an inch, enough to catch the light. Ramirez walked around, hand on his gun. He pushed it open slowly. The dome light came on, and I swear to God, there were handprints. Not bloody or anything, just clear impressions smeared across the inside of the windshield, like someone had pressed both palms flat against it from the inside. What made it worse was the angle. The prints weren't from someone sitting normally. They were upside down, like someone had been hanging above the dash. We did a full sweep of the area, 30 yards in every direction. Nothing. No fresh tracks, no broken brush, no signs of struggle. I checked the trunk. Empty. But when I opened the back door, I noticed something on the floor mat, a phone. The screen was cracked but still lit up, stuck on the camera app, and it was recording. I picked it up carefully. The recording had started 12 minutes earlier. Ramirez leaned over my shoulder. "Play it." So I did. The first few seconds were normal. The inside of the car, dashboard lights glowing. You could hear someone breathing heavy like they were panicking. Then a voice whispered, "Don't look at the mirror." The camera panned toward the rear view anyway, shaky and unfocused. For half a second, the lens caught movement. Something dark moving fast behind the driver's seat. Then the phone dropped and the video went black. Ramirez took a step back. "Nope," he muttered. "Nope, I'm not." Before he finished, the headlights flickered. Then the radio clicked back on by itself. I swear I heard it say my name. Not clearly, like it was buried in static, but enough that my stomach dropped. "Dispatch," Ramirez said, voice shaking. "We're requesting immediate..." The radio cut him off. A woman's voice came through, calm and distant. "You shouldn't be here." I grabbed my flashlight, swept the tree line. I thought maybe it was someone with a CB playing a sick joke, but there was nothing out there. Nothing except fog and trees and the faint sound of the car's idle. The longer I stood there, the more I noticed how wrong that sound was. Engines have rhythm, a low growl, a cycle. This one didn't. It was uneven, like it was breathing, like it was waiting for something. "Let's tow it," Ramirez said finally. "I'm done with this," we called it in. Dispatch said the registered owner was a 28-year-old man named Derek Hall. No criminal record. Lived about 15 miles away. As we waited for the tow truck, I started writing up the report. That's when I realized something. The exhaust was still coming out, but there was no heat. I could hold my hand right behind it. "Cold air." "Ramirez," I said, "come look at this." Then the car door slammed shut. Both of us jumped. The sound echoed across the road, but no one was there. All 4 doors were locked again and the headlights turned themselves off. When the tow truck arrived, the driver, an older guy named Mitch, looked irritated until he saw the car. "Yeah," he muttered, scratching his neck. "No surprise? What do you mean?" I asked. He hesitated. "This ain't the first time I've towed it." Ramirez and I looked at each other. Mitch hooked the Honda up to his rig. "Got a call last winter, same spot." "Car was running then too. You're saying the same car, same plate, same VIN, except..." He trailed off, glancing at the fog. "Except it was totaled. Deer collision. Driver didn't make it." I felt something in my chest drop. "You're saying this car's supposed to be junked?" He nodded, crushed. "Saw it myself." The sound of the winch filled the silence, creaking, grinding metal. The car's front wheels lifted off the ground. Then, the radio in my patrol car turned itself on. This time there was no static, just a man's voice, hoarse, panicked. "Get me out of the car." Ramirez turned toward me, eyes wide. "Tell me you heard that." I didn't answer, because I was watching the tow truck driver freeze in place, staring at his rearview mirror. "Mitch?" I called. He didn't respond. He was pale, trembling, eyes locked on something behind him. I followed his gaze to the back seat of the Honda. There was movement, not a shape exactly. More like a distortion, something bending the light like heat over pavement. It pulsed once, and then the car's engine roared back to life, even though it wasn't on the ground anymore. The sound was deafening. The tow truck's lights flickered. Mitch stumbled back, yelling, "Unhook it! Unhook it!" But the chains were pulling tighter, like the car didn't want to go. The engine revved higher, screaming. Then everything stopped. The lights went out. Silence. When the headlights came back on, the car was gone, not rolled away. Not dragged, just gone. Chains dangling loose, empty space where it had been. We searched for hours. Nothing. No tire marks, no signs of movement. Just 3 sets of footprints, mine, Ramirez's, and Mitch's, and the echo of that last sound, like the car had been swallowed by the night. For weeks after that, dispatch kept getting strange calls, distorted voices breaking through the radio, whispering things that didn't make sense. Sometimes they'd say our name, sometimes they'd just breathe. Ramirez quit the force 3 months later, said he couldn't sleep, kept dreaming about headlights outside his window that never shut off. I thought I was fine until 2 nights ago. I was driving home from a late shift. Roads were empty, cold drizzle, fog hanging low, and then I saw it. Same silver Honda hazard lights blinking, engine idling. I slowed down, heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. I pulled up behind it and my headlights hit the license plate. Same number, same scratches. And in the driver's seat, someone sitting perfectly still. I stepped out, my boots crunching on the gravel. Rain tapped on my hat. The closer I got, the clearer it became that the person wasn't moving. When I finally reached the window, I realized what I was looking at. It was me, uniform, badge, everything, and just sitting there behind the wheel, staring forward. The face looked pale, water dripping down its cheek. Then it turned and smiled, and the headlights went out. I'm writing this now from the station parking lot. I can't bring myself to go home. My radio keeps turning on by itself, soft static like breathing. They told me the car was never found again, but I can still hear its engine sometimes when the wind gets low, always idling, always waiting like it never really stopped. The first night it happened, I thought it was just faulty wiring. The park was small, just 2 slides, a set of swings, a roundabout that squeaked like it was alive. The city barely cared about it anymore. Still, I liked doing my patrols there. It was quiet, too quiet sometimes. That night the air was heavy with fog. My breath came out in short white bursts as I walked the path past the old basketball court toward the playground. The streetlights behind me glowed dull orange, but up ahead, the park lights were flickering, like someone was flipping the switch on and off just to mess with me. I remember glancing at my watch. 3:06 a.m. right on schedule, because that's when it always started. The first report came from a resident across the street. Said the playground lights kept turning on by themselves, every night at exactly 3. No one around. Just light motion and the sound of something metal clanging. Maintenance said the timer box was disconnected years ago. Still, the lights came on, and the swings moved. The gravel crunched under my boots as I stepped closer. The air smelled like wet earth and rust. I aimed my flashlight at the jungle gym. The beams of the overhead lamps flickered in sync with my heartbeat. The swings were moving again, slow, steady arcs. Both of them. I shined my light on them expecting wind, but there was no wind, not even a breeze. The fog was too thick. The trees were still. My radio crackled, static. Then a child's laugh. I froze. It wasn't like a distant echo or a sound from a nearby house. It was in my ear, sharp, real, and way too close. "Dispatch," I said quickly, trying to shake it off. "Unit 43 getting some interference here. You copy?" No response. Just that faint laugh again, softer this time. The roundabout spun once. I didn't see it start. I just heard the faint scrape of metal, turned, and saw it moving on its own. Slow, controlled. That was when the smell hit me. Not something you forget. That mix of rain-soaked dirt and something sour, like old milk or sweat trapped in cloth. I started recording on my body cam. "Possible trespassers," I muttered, trying to sound calm. "Juveniles, maybe." But deep down I already knew there was no one here. No one alive, at least. The fog swallowed most of the park, but I could see the faint shape of the slide at the far end. A faint glow shimmered beneath it, blue and pale like light reflecting off water. I took a few cautious steps forward. The gravel shifted beneath me. My flashlight beam wobbled over the swing, still moving slightly, creaking with each pass. And then the seesaw slammed down hard, like someone jumped onto it. I spun, gun half drawn, heart hammering. Nothing there. Then came a voice, soft, small, a girl's whisper right behind me. "Push me." I turned so fast I nearly fell. The playground was empty. The swing closest to me creaked. For a second I almost saw her. Not clearly, just a faint outline in the fog, the shape of small hands gripping the chains. The air was colder around that spot, sharp against my face. My breath came fast. "This is Unit 43 requesting immediate backup at Brookview Park," I said into my radio. Possible. And then the lights went out, all at once, every bulb. Darkness hit like a physical thing, a thick, suffocating black. My flashlight flickered weakly, then died too. The silence after was unbearable. Even the hum of the city in the distance felt gone. I could hear only breathing, not mine. I tried to move, but my legs wouldn't cooperate. The gravel under my boots felt wrong, soft, almost spongy. Then, one by one, the lights came back on, but only the ones above the swings. And now there was someone sitting there. A child. A girl, hair hanging over her face, head tilted down. Her shoes were gone. Her legs didn't touch the ground. She was gently rocking back and forth. I raised my light, but every time the beam touched her, it flickered, like she was absorbing it. "Hey, you okay?" I said, voice cracking. She didn't answer. Then the other swing started moving too, empty, but moving just as high. And that's when I saw what her shadow was doing. It wasn't moving like hers. It wasn't in sync. It was facing me. I backed up slowly, hand trembling on my radio. "Dispatch, please respond." Nothing. The girl's head lifted. Her eyes, God, I'll never forget them. They weren't glowing or anything movie-like. They just looked real, too real, wide, glassy, like she'd been crying for hours. Then she whispered, "He's still here." The roundabout behind me started spinning again, faster this time. I could hear the chains of the swings tighten, like someone pushing from behind. I turned my light that way and froze. A figure, tall, thin, wearing what looked like an old parka, was standing at the edge of the fog, just beyond the seesaw. I couldn't see his face. He wasn't moving, but the girl was gone. Every instinct screamed at me to leave, but I couldn't turn my back. I called out, "Police, show me your hands." He didn't move, then the swing stopped dead. The man tilted his head slow, like an animal hearing something it didn't understand. The next sound I heard was metal groaning, the kind of sound a structure makes when something heavy climbs on it. The slide. Something was moving up it. I aimed my flashlight there, but all I caught was a shape sliding down fast, too fast, landing without a sound. Then came that laugh again, closer, right beside my ear. I stumbled backward, heart thundering. My flashlight hit the ground, spinning in circles of light. When it stopped, it was aimed straight at the swing set. Both swings were empty, but both were still swaying slightly. Then one of them jerked forward, hard like someone unseen had just jumped off. I heard small footsteps behind me, bare feet slapping on wet pavement. "Stop," I whispered, turning slowly. The fog thinned just enough for me to see her again. The same girl standing halfway up the jungle gym ladder, looking down at me. Her mouth opened like she was about to speak. Then the lights blew out again. All at once, the next few minutes were chaos. I remember stumbling toward my cruiser, slamming into the metal gate on the way out. I didn't look back until I was inside. Doors locked, headlights on through the windshield. The playground was empty again, still. Then one by one, the lights flickered back on, every single one, and in the middle of the swings, something hung from the chain, a pair of small red shoes. Backup arrived 15 minutes later. Ramirez was first on scene. He didn't believe a word of what I said until he saw the shoes. We searched the area. No prints, no sign of anyone. But the security camera caught something. One frame of footage, time-stamped 3:07 a.m. It showed the swings moving. Both of them. Then, for exactly one frame, a tall shadow appeared behind them, and then the feed cut out. A week later, the city cut the power to the playground entirely, said it was unsafe. But every few nights when I'm driving that beat, I still see the faint glow through the fog, just for a second. Sometimes I hear the creak of a swing, and sometimes when the fog is thick enough and the night is still, I hear a child whisper, "Push me." The night the dispatcher went silent, I was halfway through my shift and already wishing for daylight. We'd had a string of weird calls lately, phantom 911s, open lines with breathing on the other end, addresses that didn't exist. Most of the guys blamed old wiring or prank apps, but I'd been doing this long enough to know the difference between a bad connection and someone trying not to be heard. I was sitting in my cruiser outside an empty strip mall when it happened. The radio clicked. Once, then I heard her voice, calm, familiar, professional. "Unit 43, respond to 97 Old Mill Road. Possible domestic." It was Karen, our night dispatcher, the one who never lost her cool. "Copy that," I said, except something about her tone was off. Flat. Like she was reading it from memory. Old Mill Road hadn't had a house on it in years, just a burned-out gas station and woods stretching for miles. I keyed my mic again. "Dispatch, can you confirm the call source?" Static. Then her voice again, quieter this time, almost like she was leaning too close to the mic. "Just check it." That was it. No code. No unit confirmation. Just that. The radio clicked off. I stared at it for a second, thinking maybe I misheard, maybe she was talking to someone else. But my unit number was clear as day. So I drove. The further I got down Old Mill Road, the worse the fog became. The world felt smaller, my headlights hitting a white wall of mist. The trees leaned close, branches scratching the roof when I slowed. When I reached the old gas station, the lot was empty. Pumps covered in rust, windows blacked out with grime. I parked anyway, keeping my lights on. "Dispatch, this is 43 on scene," I said into the radio. "No visible." That's when I heard it, a faint click, then Karen's voice again, but wrong now, slow, uneven. "You shouldn't have come alone." The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. "Dispatch, what's your 20? I asked, no answer. "Karen, you okay?" Just breathing, steady, mechanical, like someone holding the mic open near their mouth. I stepped out of the cruiser, flashlight in hand. The air was colder here, damp and heavy like stepping into a basement. My boots crunched on broken glass and gravel. The gas station door was ajar. I don't know why I went in. Maybe it was habit and protocol, or maybe I didn't want to hear that breathing anymore. The inside smelled like mold and burnt plastic. My light swept across empty shelves and graffiti. "Help us" was scrawled in red across the counter. Then my radio clicked again. "He's here." I froze. "Who's here?" I asked. No response. Just the faint sound of typing, fast, rhythmic, like computer keys being hit over and over. Karen used an old dispatch terminal at the station. I could picture it. That glowing green screen, her coffee mug beside it, her fingers tapping commands like muscle memory. "Karen, talk to me." "Who's there with you?" This time her voice came out as a whisper, distorted like the mic was underwater. "Don't look at the monitors." Then the line went dead. I turned to head back to my cruiser, but something flickered across the window. A reflection that didn't belong to me. Someone tall. Standing just outside, I spun around, flashlight up, and nothing there. Just the fog rolling closer, creeping under the broken awning. My radio came alive again, crackling violently, but it wasn't Karen this time. It was me. My own voice, replaying through the static. Dispatch, this is 43 on scene. No visible. Exactly what I'd said a few minutes ago. Then silence. I ran back to the car, slamming the door and locking it out of instinct. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. I tried the radio again. Central, this is Unit 43. I need a status check on dispatch operator Karen Doyle. After a long pause, a different voice came through. The day shift supervisor. Karen Doyle? She's been off duty since last week. You okay, 43? I stared at the radio. She just sent me here. The line was quiet for a beat, then negative. Doyle's out sick. Nobody's been on Channel 4 tonight, I wanted to argue. But the sound of static started up again, soft, but constant now. It was coming from somewhere outside the car. Through the windshield, I saw light, a faint green glow pulsing from inside the gas station. Like an old computer screen booting up. I don't know what made me do it. Curiosity, stupidity, whatever. But I grabbed my flashlight again and stepped out. The glow was coming from behind the counter. As I got closer, I realized it wasn't a computer. It was a dispatch terminal, the same kind we used. Same layout, same green cursor blinking. It shouldn't have been there. The screen flickered, lines of text flashing across it. Incoming call. Unit 43. Connected, do not turn around. I felt my throat tighten. Something shifted in the dark behind me. Slow footsteps on broken tile. I forced myself not to move, not to breathe. The footsteps stopped just behind my left shoulder. I could feel heat, breath. Then a voice whispered, right next to my ear, "Help me." I turned. I couldn't not. And there she was, Karen, or what was left of her. She looked almost normal at first, but her eyes were wrong, blank, glassy, like the monitors back at dispatch had reflected straight into them and never let go. Her mouth moved, but the words came out over my radio instead. "You answered." I stumbled back, tripping over a fallen chair. The terminal began typing on its own. Call transferred, Unit 43, connected, duration continuing. The radio in my hand went wild, voices overlapping, calls I didn't recognize. Officer down. Multiple units respond. "Get out of there!" Then everything flattened into one sound, the hum of an open line. When I came to, I was sitting in my cruiser. Engine running, radio silent. The sun was just starting to come up. For a second I thought maybe I'd dreamed the whole thing, but then I looked at my dash cam. The feed was still rolling. At 3:12 a.m., it captured me stepping out of the car toward the gas station. At 3:13, the camera shook, static filled the screen. At 3:17, I came back out, but there was something off about the footage, the way I moved, slow and jerky like a puppet. And when I looked closely at the timestamp, it wasn't my face reflected in the glass of the door. It was Karen's. They never found that gas station again. I drove the route a dozen times in daylight, nothing there but trees. The official report said, false dispatch due to system interference, but I still hear her sometimes when I'm on the radio late at night and the line goes quiet. I'll catch a faint whisper between channels, Unit 43, check it. And sometimes, if I wait too long to respond, I swear I can hear typing, that same frantic rhythm. I know what it means now. It means the call never ended. It's still connected, and I'm still on the line. The first time I saw her, I thought she was just another lost motorist. It was close to midnight, the kind of quiet that makes your ears ring. My headlights stretched across the two-lane road, catching the mist that hung low over the asphalt. I'd been on patrol for almost 10 hours, running on gas station coffee and static from the radio. Then she appeared, standing dead center in the lane. White, dress, barefoot, her arms wrapped around herself, like she was freezing. I hit the brakes hard enough to jolt the seatbelt across my chest. The cruiser stopped maybe 20 feet away. She didn't move. Didn't flinch at the lights. I called out through the window, "Ma'am, are you okay?" Nothing. She just stood there, head slightly tilted. Something about the way she held herself, still, but not calm, made my stomach twist. I put the car in park, turned on the spotlight, and stepped out. The gravel crunched beneath my boots, loud in the silence. "Ma'am," I said again, hand hovering near my holster. "Are you hurt?" That's when she spoke, soft, trembling. "Can you help me find him?" Her voice was fragile, almost childlike. "Find who?" I asked, keeping my tone steady. "My husband," she said. He went to get the car. He's been gone too long." She looked down the empty stretch of road like she expected headlights to appear any second. But there was nothing out there, just black trees and fog. I nodded slowly. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "Emily." "Okay, Emily, let's get you off the road. It's not safe standing here." I guided her toward the shoulder, trying not to spook her. Up close, I could see how pale she was. Her feet were covered in dirt and small cuts. The hem of her dress was soaked. "You from around here?" I asked. She shook her head. "We were driving through. Car broke down. He said he'd walk to town for help." Her eyes flicked to my cruiser. "You can call him, right?" Before I could answer, the radio in my car crackled to life. "Unit 43, what's your 20? I leaned in and grabbed the mic. "County Road 9, about 2 miles south of Route 14. Got a stranded female, says her husband's missing." Static hissed. Then the dispatcher's voice came back, uneasy. "Copy that." 43, are you sure about your location?" I frowned. "Yeah, why?" There was a pause. "Because that area's been closed off for years. Bridge collapsed back in 2015. I looked at Emily. She was staring at me now, her lips trembling. "What did they say?" she asked. I told her it was nothing, that they must have mixed up the location. But I could feel my pulse in my throat. The fog had thickened around us. The road behind the cruiser was gone, swallowed whole by white. I turned to ask if she wanted to wait in the car until backup arrived. But she was already walking down the road, toward the curve ahead. "Emily, hold up." She didn't even turn around. Her voice floated back, almost lost in the mist. "He's waiting by the bridge." I caught up to her, flashlight cutting through the fog. "Emily, there's no bridge here." She kept walking. Each step she took was slow but steady, like she was following something only she could see. Then she stopped. I came up beside her and froze. Because she was right. There was a bridge. Sort of. The remains of it, at least. Concrete barriers jutted out over a drop. The rest collapsed into a ravine below, but in the fog it almost looked whole again. My light caught old road signs, twisted guardrails, bits of metal half buried in the dirt. She was staring straight ahead. "There," she whispered. "That's where the car was." I felt the hair on my arms rise. "Emily, that bridge has been gone for 10 years. She turned to me, confusion flickering across her face. "No," she said softly. "It just happened. We swerved to miss something in the road." Her hands trembled. "He got out to check if anyone was hurt. He told me to stay put," her voice cracked. "He said he'd be right back." I didn't know what to say. The fog rolled in thicker, curling around us. Somewhere below, water dripped into the ravine, slow, echoing. Then my radio crackled again. "Unit 43, status check. You're coming through with interference." Before I could respond, a faint voice came through underneath the static. A man's voice. "Emily?" she gasped. "That's him." I stared at the radio. "Who is this? Help! Can't get out." The words were barely audible, like they were buried underwater. I looked at Emily. She was crying now, hands clasped to her chest. "He's alive," she whispered. "Stay here," I said, scanning the edge of the drop. "I'm going to take a look." I edged closer, flashlight sweeping across the ravine. The beam caught twisted metal far below, the roof of a car half buried in dirt and vines. The same model she described, the same color. "Jesus," I muttered. "Emily, I think I..." But when I turned back, she was gone. I called her name. Nothing. I ran back toward the cruiser, sweeping the flashlight across the fog. The beam bounced off empty air. My radio hissed again. "You shouldn't have come alone." I froze. It wasn't the man's voice this time. It was hers, Emily. But it wasn't coming from the radio. It was right behind me. I spun around and she was standing in the middle of the road again. Only now her dress was torn, soaked through with mud. Her hair hung in wet strands across her face. Her feet weren't just dirty anymore, and they were bleeding. "I told you," she said softly. He went to get help and then she smiled. It wasn't cruel exactly, just empty. Like she didn't understand what smiling was supposed to mean anymore. Headlights flared in the distance. Backup, maybe. I turned toward them, waving my arms. When I looked back at her, she was gone again. The fog lifted just enough to show the bridge ruins clearly this time. Nothing but broken concrete and rust. No woman. No footprints. Just the echo of running water far below. Later that morning, a recovery team found the wreck at the bottom of the ravine. A blue Toyota sedan. 2 occupants. Male driver. Female passenger. Both deceased. The coroner's report listed the date of death as October 12, 2015, 10 years ago to the day. The woman's name was Emily Hart. Her husband's name was Daniel, they told me. I must have been tired, hallucinating. But I know what I saw. The dash cam caught the headlights illuminating a woman in the road at 12:02 a.m. The next frame is empty. But the audio, that's what I can't stop thinking about. Because right before the feed cuts off, you can hear me say, "Emily, stay put," and then a woman's voice, whispering faintly through the static. "He found me. I still patrol that road sometimes. The bridge is long gone, fenced off, overgrown. But if you drive it late enough, the air gets cold, and your headlights start to bend in the fog, reflecting shapes that don't belong. Every now and then, dispatch gets reports of a woman waving down cars, asking for help finding her husband. Same description, same stretch of road, same time. And if you stop long enough to listen, you'll hear her voice on the radio too, soft, almost kind, calling out like she's still waiting to be found. Unit 43, can you help me find him?" I knew something was wrong the moment I pulled into the parking lot. Every door was open. All 12 rooms, each gaping into darkness, like the building itself was holding its breath. The call came in at 2:18 a.m. Possible break-in at the old Riverside Motel. That place hadn't seen a guest in years. We used it sometimes to crash after long shifts back in the day, before the owner went bankrupt and disappeared. It sat on the edge of town now, half swallowed by weeds, the neon sign still humming weakly. No vacancy, even though the place had been vacant for a decade. The gravel popped under my tires as I rolled to a stop. The air was heavy and smelled like rain and mildew. I radioed in. Unit 43 on scene at Riverside Motel. No vehicles present. Doors appear unsecured. Beginning sweep. Static, then dispatch. Copy that, 43. Proceed with caution. The headlights painted the first row of doors. All open, all dark. Curtains fluttered slowly in the humid breeze. I stepped out. My boots sank into wet gravel. The silence pressed on my ears. No crickets, no wind, just the low electrical hum from the flickering sign. Room 1 smelled like dust and rotted carpet. A single mattress leaned against the wall. My flashlight beam caught faded wallpaper curling like dead skin. Nothing else. Room 2 was the same, empty, stale. By room 3, I started noticing patterns. Each room looked cleaned out but lived in, like someone had stayed there for just a night. Coffee cups on counters, toothbrush on the sink, towels neatly folded, except there was no sign anyone had actually been there. No footprints in the dust. No cars outside. That's when the phone started ringing. It was faint at first, one shrill ring echoing from deeper inside the building. I followed the sound down the hallway toward the manager's office. The door was half closed. The light above it flickered. Another ring. I pushed it open. The desk was covered in old check-in logs, brittle papers yellowed with age. A rotary phone sat in the middle, still ringing. I hesitated, then picked it up. County Sheriff's Office. Silence. Then a woman's voice. Calm, almost cheerful. Room 23 needs new sheets. My stomach turned. There is no room 23, I said. Click. Line dead. I checked the logbook. The last entry was dated August 12, 1997. The name written in blue pen, Mitch Carter, room 23. I flipped through the pages. The same name appeared 3 more times that week. Room 23. Room 23. Room 23. The motel only had 12 rooms. I stepped back into the hall. The air felt thicker now, the walls closer somehow. My flashlight flickered just once, but long enough to make me realize the layout had changed. The hallway wasn't ending where it used to. There were more doors now. I tried to tell myself I was tired, that my brain was miscounting in the dark. But when I reached the end of the row, there it was. Room 23, black numbers screwed crooked into the door, and the door was closed. I don't know how long I stood there staring at it. Every instinct told me to leave, to call for backup, to get the hell out of that building. But I had to know. I turned the handle. The door opened without a sound. The smell hit me first. Bleach and something metallic underneath. The kind of smell that clings to your clothes. Inside, the room looked normal, too normal. The bed was made, the lamp was on. The TV was playing static. On the nightstand sat a half-drunk cup of coffee, still steaming. Someone had been here recently. Sheriff's department, I called out, stepping in. Anyone here? No response. I moved closer to the TV. The static wasn't random, it pulsed in slow intervals like a heartbeat. Every few seconds, a faint image flickered through. The parking lot, the hallway, then me. The TV was showing live footage from somewhere inside the motel. My radio hissed. Unit 43, report status. I grabbed it fast. I'm inside Riverside Motel Room 23. I think someone's... The line cut out with a burst of feedback, then a whisper. You checked in. I froze. Who is this? Silence. The TV changed again, now showing the front desk where I'd answered the phone earlier. Only now the phone was off the hook and the chair behind the counter wasn't empty anymore. Someone was sitting in it. I backed toward the door, but the knob wouldn't turn. It was cold, slick under my hand like metal fresh from a freezer. Behind me, the static on the TV softened into a voice. Please stay for one more night. The screen flickered. My cruiser, headlights on, engine idling, then went dark. The lamp beside the bed buzzed and died. I was left in total blackness. Then, footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming down the hallway outside. I hit my shoulder against the door, shouting, "Sheriff's office!" Identify yourself. The steps stopped just outside, then a single knock, 3 slow taps, and a woman's voice, the same from the phone, Bug said, "Housekeeping." When I finally got the door open, the hallway was empty again. Every door from room 1 to room 12 was closed now, except room 23. When I turned back, the numbers on the door were gone. The whole frame looked like it had been part of the wall all along. I stumbled out into the parking lot, breathing hard. My cruiser was still running, headlights slicing through the mist. I threw the car into reverse and didn't look back until I was a mile away. At the station, I tried to file a report, but when I mentioned room 23, the deputy on duty frowned. "There's no room 23, he said. That building's been condemned since '98. He pulled up an old photo from the county archives. The Riverside Motel, windows boarded, doors chained. In the picture, there were only 12 doors. I pulled up my body cam footage, static. 12 minutes of blank video. Then, at the very end, a single frame, the hallway, and a door marked 23 slightly open, with someone standing in the gap, a woman in a housekeeping uniform, smiling straight at the camera. A week later, I drove by the site again in daylight. The building was gone, just rubble and weeds, but when I stepped out of the car, I saw something lying in the dirt, a cracked plastic key tag. Riverside Motel, room 23. Sometimes, late on patrol, my radio will hiss with faint static, just for a second. Then a woman's voice comes through, calm and cheerful. Room 23 needs new sheets. I never answer. But every night after that, I check my cruiser's mirrors. Because if I sit still long enough, I can see the faint glow of a TV screen behind me, white static pulsing like a heartbeat, and a shadow moving slowly through an empty hallway, opening one more door. I used to think the radio was my lifeline. Out here in the dark back roads between towns, it's the only thing that reminds you you're not completely alone. You key the mic, say a few words, and someone miles away answers back. Simple, steady, safe, until the night it answered before I called. It started like any other shift. Quiet. Too quiet. County had me running the midnight circuit, back roads, farm routes, the empty stretch along Miller's Creek. I'd just poured my third cup of lukewarm coffee when the static crackled through the cruiser's speakers. At first, I thought it was dispatch. Unit 43, you copy? The voice was faint, distorted. I grabbed the mic. This is 43, go ahead. Static. Then again, same voice, but slower, at 43. Do you copy? Only this time it sounded like me. I froze. I replayed my own voice in my head. Same tone, same rhythm. It wasn't just similar, it was exact. I scanned the dashboard. No signal on the frequency meter. Dispatch, confirm you just called 43, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Negative 43, came the reply. We haven't transmitted in the last 10 minutes, I swallowed. Then who the hell? The radio hissed again, louder this time, like someone had leaned into the mic on the other end. Stop. Just that one word. And the weirdest part, it sounded like a warning. I turned the volume down, forcing myself to focus on the road. The fog was rolling in heavy again, swallowing the world beyond my headlights. It was almost comforting having something else to concentrate on. Then the radio clicked again, a woman's voice this time. Soft, almost whispering, do you hear it too? I picked up the mic. Identify yourself. No response, I can't see him, the voice said. But he's here. That's when the cruiser's interior lights flickered just once, like something had brushed the roof. I pulled over near an old service road, the one that leads down to the abandoned quarry. The fog had thickened so much that even the high beams bounced straight back. I could barely see the front of the hood. The radio hissed again. He's behind you. My heart kicked hard enough to make my vision blur. I turned in my seat, flashlight ready, nothing there. Just my empty back seat and the faint squeak of the radio mic swinging from the dash. Then faintly, beneath the static, breathing. Not mine. Slow. Wet. Close. I yanked the mic out of the socket. The sound cut off instantly, but when I looked up, someone was standing in the road. A figure, tall, still, barely visible through the fog. I couldn't make out a face. Just the outline of shoulders and something reflecting the light. Maybe a badge, maybe glass. I flicked on the siren for a second. The flash of red-blue filled the fog. The figure was gone. The fog stirred where it had been, like the air was folding in on itself. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from an unknown number. Stop transmitting. I stared at it until the screen went black. Then, from the radio, my own voice again. Don't answer her. At that point, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. I threw the cruiser into drive, heading back toward town, but the radio wasn't done. Every few seconds, it clicked, someone keying the mic on the same channel, but no one spoke. Just that soft burst of static again and again like breathing. Then right as I hit Route 14, dispatch finally came through. Unit 43, where the hell have you been? You dropped off radar 30 minutes ago. 30? I said. No, I just pulled off for a second. Negative, she said. You went silent at 12:37, I checked the clock. It was 1:19. I had no memory of that missing time. When I got back to the station, I went straight for the comms log. No one else had used my call frequency that night. Not one signal. The tech on duty swore it was impossible for two transmitters to broadcast the same voice modulation pattern. Too specific, he said. I told him about the woman's voice. The figure in the fog, the warning. He gave me that look. The "you've been up too long" look. He said maybe it was feedback, or an old recording loop stuck in the system, but the next night it happened again. This time, it started earlier and around 11 p.m. Unit 43, copy? I ignored it, then came a whisper, softer, almost pleading, please, don't leave me here. The voice wasn't mine this time. It was hers. The same woman. I switched frequencies. The sound followed. Please, she said again. He's still on the line. The cruiser's engine sputtered. The lights dimmed, and for a moment I could swear I heard two voices overlapping. One whispering, help me, and another, lower, rumbling just beneath it, saying, listen. I floored it, heading for the station. The whole way, the radio pulsed with static like a heartbeat. When I arrived, the power was out. The whole building was dark. The flag outside barely moving in the wind. Inside, The radios were still running, all of them, every single unit on every desk, broadcasting the same low-frequency hum, and underneath it, faint and distant, voices whispering names. Mine was one of them. They told me later it was a signal anomaly, that an old weather tower up by Miller's Creek had shorted out, bouncing ghost frequencies across our channels. But when they pulled the log data, they found something else, an audio imprint embedded in the transmission. Faint, distorted but clear enough to analyze. It matched my voice, except the timestamp was from August 19th, 2022. The night officer Danvers disappeared during patrol on Miller's Creek Road. His last transmission, before his car was found abandoned, had been, Unit 43, do you copy? I don't patrol that route anymore, but every once in a while, during graveyard shifts when the night gets still and the fog rolls in heavy, my radio will hiss just a little too long after I let go of the mic. Sometimes I think I hear someone breathing back, and sometimes, when dispatch calls me, I hesitate before I answer, because I never know if it's them or me. The last time it happened, just a few nights ago, the voice on the other end sounded broken, tired, desperate. Unit 43, do you copy? I said, go ahead. The voice let out a shaky breath. Please tell them I didn't mean to leave the car running. The line went dead. I checked the logs again afterward. No one had transmitted on my channel that night. The tech shrugged, said it was probably old interference again. But before I left, I saw something on the console. A single unread message on the screen. Timestamp 12:37 a.m., just 2 words. Stay off. Now, when I start my shift, I turn the radio volume down low. Not off, I can't do that. Too quiet makes you crazy, but just low enough that if someone calls my name from the static again, I can pretend I didn't hear it. Still, sometimes when the night gets too still, I think about that voice, the one that warned me to stop transmitting, and wonder which side of the signal I'm really on. Because lately, when I key the mic, I swear I hear someone else breathing before I speak. And once, just once, I heard a faint echo right after I said my call sign, Unit 43. It whispered it back. I got the call around 3:30 a.m. Disturbance reported at Oak Valley subdivision. Possible trespassers, that name didn't ring a bell. I'd been working this county for 8 years. I knew every dirt road, every condemned trailer park, every broken down farm still pretending to be occupied. But Oak Valley? That wasn't on any of my patrol maps. I radioed dispatch to confirm. To base, what's the address again? Static, then a half-second of garbled response. New development. Off Miller's Creek. Miller's Creek again. I should have turned the cruiser around right there, but I didn't. The GPS didn't recognize it either. Just a blinking blue arrow on a blank stretch of grid. I drove anyway. The road narrowed, then split into a freshly paved street that shouldn't have existed. Clean asphalt, bright white lines, new stop signs glinting in the headlights. No houses, just streetlights standing in a perfect row, their bulbs flickering on and off like they couldn't decide what hour it was. Then I saw the sign. Oak Valley Subdivision, a new community coming spring 2024, but the wood was rotted. The paint peeled. The date sun-faded into almost nothing. It looked abandoned for years. I turned down the main drive. That's when the houses appeared, row after row of them, all identical. Beige siding, black shutters, driveways filled with cracked concrete. Every porch light was on. Every garage door closed. It should have felt safe, new, suburban, quiet. But it didn't. It felt posed, like the kind of neighborhood you'd see in a real estate brochure right before the world ended. Dispatch, this is 43. I've got eyes on Oak Valley. Appears vacant but lit. Confirming any residents? Static again. Then the line went dead. The signal bar on my radio dropped to 0. I drove slowly down the street, scanning the yards. Toys in the grass. Lawn chairs. A bicycle tipped over by the curb, all there. All untouched. Like whoever lived here just got up and walked away midday. Halfway down the street, I saw movement. A curtain in one of the houses, and flicking closed fast. Like someone had been watching me, I parked, got out. Hand on my flashlight. The air was heavy, still. Warm in a way that didn't match the season. When I stepped onto the grass, it crunched. Dry, brittle, dead, but it had rained the night before. The front door of the house was unlocked. I called out, "Sheriff's office." No answer. Inside, everything was pristine. Furniture in place, TV off. framed family photos on the mantel. A husband, wife, 2 kids. I touched one of the photos. It was cold, almost damp. The clock on the wall ticked loud. 3:42. The power was on. So was the air conditioning. But the temperature inside was wrong. The kind of chill you feel standing in a morgue, not a living room. Then the TV turned on by itself. Static. A burst of white light filled the room, flickering fast. Then, for half a second, I saw a frozen image and a man sitting on a couch staring directly at the camera. Same room. Same furniture. Same photo frames. Then it cut back to static. The smell hit next, and like something sweet and rotten under the vents. I stepped toward the hallway, and that's when I saw the writing on the wall. Thin, uneven letters scratched into the drywall with something sharp. Don't listen to them. My radio clicked alive again. One sharp burst. Or, what's your location? Finally, I grabbed it. I'm inside a residence on Oak Valley. You need to send another unit. There's something... The voice cut me off. There is no Oak Valley 43. I froze. Say again? That development was never built. Plan scrapped in 2019. You need to get out of there now. The line died. The clock stopped ticking. And from somewhere upstairs, I heard footsteps, slow, heavy. Coming down the hall, I drew my weapon and aimed at the staircase. Sheriff's office. Identify yourself. The steps stopped, then started again. Faster now, uneven. Like someone limping. The hallway light flickered as a shape appeared at the top of the stairs. A man. At least, I think it was. His clothes were filthy, his face gray and hollow. His eyes reflected the beam of my flashlight like animal eyes. He opened his mouth, and I swear I heard the sound of static. Not words, not breathing. Just that low, broken hiss, the same pitch my radio made. I backed toward the door. He kept coming. I ran, out the door, down the porch steps, across the yard. The air felt thick, dragging at me. When I reached the cruiser, the engine wouldn't start. Just a dead click. Then the streetlights began to flicker in rhythm, one after another. Like dominoes down the road, and every house all at once turned off their porch lights. All except one. The house at the very end of the street. Its light burned steady. I didn't want to go. Every instinct screamed not to. But the radio crackled again, the same distorted voice I'd heard before whispering my call sign. This way. The voice wasn't coming from the radio, it was coming from the house. I grabbed my flashlight and walked. The closer I got, the louder the static became, bleeding into words I couldn't make out. The front door was already open. Inside there was no furniture, no pictures, no smell of dust, just a radio sitting in the middle of the floor. It was an old police transceiver. Same model as mine, only rusted wires exposed. The speaker buzzed weakly, then cleared. You shouldn't have come back. The voice was mine. I stared at the radio, my own words, my own cadence echoing back. They hear everything now, it said. Then a burst of static. Loud, sharp, like feedback. I dropped the flashlight. When I picked it back up, the room was different. The walls were bare studs. The floor half-finished concrete. I turned to leave, but there was no door anymore. Just a blank wall where it had been. I don't remember how I got out. I woke up in my cruiser, parked on the side of Miller's Creek Road, the engine running. The GPS showed no new road, no subdivision, just forest. When I radioed dispatch, they told me they'd been trying to reach me for 2 hours. I told them I must have fallen asleep. They didn't believe me, but I didn't care. A few days later, I went back with another deputy. Nothing there, just trees and dirt. No asphalt, no streetlights, no sign of construction. But when I looked closer, buried in the weeds near the tree line, I found something small and white, a plastic realtor's sign, cracked in half. It said, Oak Valley Homes, Phase 1, sold out sometimes when I drive past that stretch at night. My radio picks up faint static, and once, right around 3:30 a.m., a voice came through clear as day. Welcome home, 43. By the time I saw the gas station lights, I'd been driving for hours. It was past 2 a.m. That hour where the world feels half dead and when the fog hugs the road so tight it looks like the earth's trying to swallow you. Dispatch had sent me to check out a possible break-in at the old Route 6 fueling stop. Thing is, that place had been closed since 2011. Everyone in the department knew that. It was the kind of call we'd laugh about during briefing. But that night, nobody laughed because the call didn't come from a civilian. It came through our own frequency. The first thing that hit me when I pulled up was the smell. Gasoline and something else. Coppery. Faint. Like old pennies in rain. The station looked just like I remembered. 2 pumps out front. The faded sign reading Riverbend Fuel and Snacks. 1 flickering fluorescent over the door. The parking lot was empty except for a single car, an old Crown Vic, parked crooked near the ice machine. When I got out, my heart nearly stopped. It was one of our units. Unit 43, my unit. I radioed in fast. Dispatch, this is 41. I've got a cruiser at the Route 6 gas station, plates match 43. Confirm if anyone's assigned here tonight. Static then. Negative, 43, inactive. I froze. Inactive, Unit 43 hadn't been active since me. I keyed the mic again. Say again, dispatch. No response. Just a faint hiss, then what sounded like my own voice whispering back, "You're late." The wind picked up as I walked closer. The cruiser's headlights were off, but the engine was still running, idling low and rough like it had been on for a long time. The driver's door hung open. Inside, everything was where it should be. Clipboard, flashlight. Half-empty coffee cup except the radio. The mic was off the hook, resting on the seat, and it was transmitting on an open channel. Through the static, I could hear faint breathing, slow, steady, then a voice, calm, familiar. You shouldn't have answered. I backed away, gun drawn, flashlight sweeping across the dark pumps. The station door creaked open on its own. The light inside was dim, buzzing like a dying fly. Rows of dusty snack shelves. Coolers empty except for a few unrecognizable bottles. The register sat open, bills stuck together with mold, and on the counter, a black handheld radio, just like mine. I picked it up. The moment I did, the store's overhead lights snapped off. Everything went silent. The static in the radio built to a low hum. Don't leave yet. It was my voice again. I dropped the radio. It hit the tile and kept transmitting, louder now, repeating fragments of phrases like a loop. Unit 43, copy. I can't see him. Stay off the road. The same words from the Miller's Creek incident. My pulse hammered in my ears. I turned toward the window, and that's when I saw movement by the pumps. Someone was standing under the flickering light. The figure was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a deputy's uniform. He had his back to me, one hand resting on the gas pump. "Hey," I called out. "Sheriff's Department." "Turn around!" He didn't move. I took a step forward. "Sir," I said. He turned, and I felt the air leave my lungs, because it was me. Same face, same badge, same tired eyes. The reflection of my cruiser lights shimmered across his chest, making it look like his skin rippled, like heat off asphalt. Then he smiled, and we small, wrong, like he was testing the expression. "Finally caught up," he said. I aimed my flashlight straight at him, and for a second the light bent, like it hit water instead of air. His voice came again. Only now it was coming from every direction. Through the radio, through the store speakers. From behind me, "You keep coming back here." The radio on the counter sparked, words bleeding through the static. Dispatch logs, old recordings, snippets of my own reports of mine responding to disturbance. 43, do you copy? 43, you're off route. All overlapping. All me, I ran. The fog outside had thickened into a wall. I couldn't see the cruiser anymore. Only the faint glow of taillights through the white. My boots hit the pavement, splashing through puddles that hadn't been there before. The pumps hissed, slow, rhythmic. When I reached the car, I yanked open the door and then froze. The driver's seat was empty, but the radio light was blinking and the mic, still off the hook, was transmitting. 41, copy. The voice said, my voice, "Get in. Finish the call." I shut the door and backed away. The fog around the car pulsed just once like a heartbeat. When it cleared, the cruiser was gone. No engine noise, no tire tracks, nothing. Just an empty lot. The hum from the station lights grew sharper, almost metallic, drilling into my skull. I stumbled back toward the store, desperate for something real. Walls, shelves, anything. But the inside wasn't the same anymore. The aisles were gone. The floor was concrete, and in the center of the room, where the counter used to be, sat a single radio, glowing faint green. "Say your name," it whispered. Didn't move. "Say it." The light on the radio flickered faster. "Unit 43. The words left my mouth before I could stop them. The static stopped. The silence hit hard, pressing against my eardrums. Then quietly, the radio replied, "Welcome back." And everything went black. When I woke up, dawn was breaking. I was parked on Route 6, engine idling, radio silent. The gas station was gone. Just an empty clearing where it should have been. Weeds, dirt, broken concrete. Dispatch said they'd never sent me a call out there. Said the frequency I'd received the message on hadn't been used since 2013. I checked the cruiser logs. Last call recorded. Possible break-in. Route 6 gas station. Timestamp 2:13 a.m. Caller ID, Unit 43. I've been back to that stretch 3 times since. Each time, it's different. Sometimes there's an old sign, sometimes just fog. But the radio always crackles the same way when I pass the spot. And once, I swear I saw taillights in the mist ahead of me. Same make, same model, same number stenciled on the bumper. Sometimes, when I drive past after midnight, the channel flips on its own. Static fills the car. Then my own voice cuts through, calm and steady. Respond to Route 6. And in that half second before I shut it off, I always hear a second voice behind mine. Lower, tired, echoing me word for word like something still out there waiting for me to finish the call. It started as background noise, just static and faint, harmless. I've worked dispatch for 15 years. You learn to ignore that hum, the pops, the clicks, the silence that fills the space between emergency and routine. But that night, the static wasn't empty. It was breathing. It was just past midnight. The graveyard shift. The others were on break, and I was alone with the consoles. A wall of screens casting blue light across the dark room. The air conditioning rattled overhead. Coffee sat cold beside the keyboard. Everything was quiet until Channel 3 came alive. Patch. Anyone copy? A voice, male, strained low. I leaned forward. "Unit, repeat your call sign." No answer, just that slow, ragged breathing, then a whisper. "It won't stop." The line went dead. I checked the log. Channel 3 hadn't been used in over a decade. We'd moved everything digital in 2015. No analog, no old frequencies, nothing that should have bled through. Still, I called it in. "Supervisor, I'm getting interference on 3. Sounds like an open mic." They brushed it off. "Probably skip propagation. Weather's bad tonight." I wanted to believe that until the voice came back, this time clearer. "Dispatch. This is 43. I need assistance." Every muscle in my body locked. That call sign, 43, hadn't been active since before I joined the department. I checked the board again. No units signed in with that ID, no GPS ping. No car assigned. Unit 43, repeat your location. Route 6. Gas station. The breath caught in my throat. I knew that call. Everyone in the department did. The Route 6 incident, and the one nobody talked about anymore. The officer had vanished during a routine check. Cruiser found running. Radio still transmitting. No trace of him ever recovered. The line hissed. "They're still here." Then silence. I sat frozen, headset pressed to my ear, waiting for anything, and another word, another breath. A sound that could prove I wasn't losing my mind. Instead, the console lights began to flicker. One by one, every channel lit up. Static. Echoes. Dozens of overlapping voices. Old calls. Old recordings, ones I recognized from years ago. People screaming for help. Reports from officers long dead or retired. And underneath it all, that same voice whispering, "Dispatch, copy? I can't see the road anymore." I ripped off the headset and stood up. The room felt smaller, darker. The lights overhead buzzed like insects trapped in glass. But the voices didn't stop. They bled out from the speakers even without the headset. The sound warped. Deeper now, words twisting into something else. "You left us out here." The smell hit next. Cold, wet asphalt and gasoline, like rain on the blacktop, except it hadn't rained in days. The monitor nearest to me blinked, then filled with static. I swear I saw a face in it. Just a flash. Pale, expressionless, wearing a deputy's uniform. The tag read 43. He looked right at me before the feed cut out. I hit the power switch. The monitor stayed on. The voice came again. "You have to answer." My phone rang. Unknown number. No caller ID. Against every instinct I picked up. The line hissed then. "Dispatch, this is 43. Where's my backup?" My mouth went dry. "Who is this?" "You never sent them." Then a sound. Heavy breathing. Followed by what might have been a laugh. Soft, broken, human. We called. But you didn't listen. The call ended. Every line on my board flashed red. Incoming transmissions. All the same channel. All labeled 43. I grabbed my jacket and left the comm room, heading down the corridor toward the exit. But halfway there, the overhead speakers popped. "Don't leave." The words echoed through the hallway. I turned slowly. The door to the comm room was still open. Through it, I could see the screens flickering, static turning into something else. Video feed from a dash cam. A dark highway. Headlights cutting through. Fog. The footage panned to the side mirror. Figure stood on the shoulder, too still to be alive. Then faintly, over the speakers, "Dispatch, you still with me?" I walked back inside, trembling. The air in the room felt charged, like standing under power lines. The timestamp on the video read, February 31, 2015, 2:13:26, the night 43 disappeared. I watched the camera shake as the officer got out, radio in hand. Then, just before the feed went black, the camera caught a glimpse of his reflection in the car window. Only it wasn't his reflection. It was someone behind him. Someone smiling. Every monitor went dark at once. And then, one by one, words began to appear on the screens in white text over black. "Answer the call, answer the call, answer the call." Each one flickering faster, until the entire room pulsed white. The radios all clicked on simultaneously. Static filled the space. And under it, the sound of a dispatcher's voice, female. Panicked, my voice, 43, where are you? Please respond. I never said that. Not yet. When I came to, it was morning. The consoles were off. The coffee cold. Nobody else in the department mentioned anything. No alarms, no reports, no outage logged. But when I checked the call history on my terminal, one entry sat there that shouldn't exist. Incoming, Unit 43, 02:13 a.m. Duration 7 hours, 11 minutes. The system wouldn't let me delete it. Wouldn't even let me click it. Now every few nights it happens again, always the same time. Always the same voice. "Dispatch, this is 43, you there?" And every time I tell myself I won't answer. But sometimes, when the room's too quiet, and the air smells faintly like rain and gasoline, I reach for the headset anyway, just to hear him breathe, just to know I'm not the only one still listening. Last night, though something changed, he didn't ask for backup this time. He said, "Copy that. I see you now." And from the dark reflection of my monitor, I saw him too, sitting right behind me, smiling, waiting for me to pick up. The call came in just before dawn. Abandoned vehicle, Route 19, engine still running. No sign of the driver. Routine enough. Happens all the time. People ditch their cars, drunk or scared, wander off into the woods. But something in the dispatcher's voice made me pause. She sounded distant, hollow, like she was repeating words someone else whispered in her ear. "Copy," I said. "En route." I shouldn't have gone alone. The fog was thick that morning, the kind that eats sound and light, where even your own breath feels heavy. I found the car exactly where they said it would be. A silver Honda, hazard lights flashing weakly, parked crooked across the shoulder. No other vehicles in sight, no footprints, no sign of a struggle. The driver's door hung open. The engine purred softly, steady and calm, like it hadn't noticed its owner was gone. I leaned in. Coffee cup in the holder. Phone on the seat, still unlocked. A podcast was paused mid-sentence. The radio hummed faint static. Not the car radio, but our frequency. And underneath the static, a faint whisper. "Don't turn around." I froze. The voice wasn't coming from my own radio. It was coming from inside the car. I stepped back, one hand on my sidearm. "Dispatch, this is 45, I've got the vehicle. Engine's on, driver's gone. Can you run the plate?" Silence, then 45. "What's your location?" "Route 19, near mile marker 17. Static crackled for a long moment before the reply came, a voice I didn't recognize. "There is no Route 19. For a second, I thought I'd misheard. There is. I'm looking at the sign. No response. The fog thickened until the road vanished behind me. Only the glow of the Honda's taillights cut through it. Two small red eyes staring back. I felt watched, not from the trees, from the car itself. I aimed my flashlight inside again. That's when I saw it. A handprint. On the inside of the windshield. Small. Smeared. Like someone had pressed their palm there from the passenger seat, except the fingers trailed upward toward the roof. I circled the vehicle. No other prints. No footprints. Nothing but the faint hum of the idling engine. Then, from somewhere in the fog, I heard another engine. Slow. Old, a low rumble, like a cruiser idling in neutral. I turned. Nothing there. But the sound didn't fade. It grew louder, closer until it felt like something was parked right behind me. I swung my light through the fog. Empty road. Still, the rumble continued. Two engines now. One in front of me. One behind me. Only one car visible. "Dispatch, this is 45, I'm hearing..." My radio cut out. Then a different voice came through. 3 to base. "Got a vehicle on Route 19, engine still running. No driver." My blood ran cold. That was the same call I'd just made, but the voice wasn't mine, it was someone else. Someone using my words. "Who is this?" I shouted into the mic. "Identify yourself." 45, copy." The rest dissolved into static. The temperature dropped fast. My breath fogged the air. The car's headlights flicked off. Then the radio inside the Honda came alive again. Loud this time, hissing white noise. I leaned in, just enough to hear a voice buried deep beneath the static. A man's voice. "Get in." I staggered back. "What? Get in the car." I raised my weapon. "Show yourself." The voice changed. Softer now, familiar. "Please." "It's cold," it was my voice. The Honda's interior lights flickered. For a moment I could see someone sitting in the driver's seat, just a silhouette. Then gone. I ran the VIN. No record. Not even in the manufacturer's database. The engine still purred, smooth and endless, like it didn't need fuel or time. I touched the hood. It wasn't warm. It wasn't anything. No heat, no vibration, no texture. Just a perfect cold surface. That's when my headlights flicked on by themselves. Except I hadn't left the cruiser running. The beam cut through the fog, pointing straight ahead, illuminating something I hadn't seen before. A second car. Identical make and model. Silver Honda. Same dent on the fender. Same coffee cup. Same phone. Parked 50 feet ahead, both engines running, both empty. And in the distance through the mist, I could see a third. Headlights glowing faint. Then a fourth, each one facing the same direction, lined perfectly along the shoulder, stretching into the fog like a row of mirrors disappearing into infinity. My radio clicked. "Kutumes, you're next." The voice sounded close, too close. I turned and saw movement by the first car, a figure standing by the open door. No flashlight. No badge, no face I could make out, just the outline of a man. "Sheriff's Department." I yelled. He didn't react, just lifted a hand and pointed toward the row of cars. Then he stepped into the driver's seat and shut the door. The taillights flared bright red, and the car slowly rolled forward, into the fog until it vanished. Every muscle in my body screamed to leave. But the road behind me was gone, just white. Nothing. The only way left was forward, so I followed. Walked past the second car, then the third. Each one the same. Running. Empty. By the sixth, I started hearing voices again, muffled, low, like radio chatter bleeding through thick static. I see him. 45, don't stop. Keep driving. Each one fading as I passed, until finally I reached the last car. Number 10. The fog broke just enough for me to see inside, and my stomach dropped, because the driver's seat wasn't empty. It was me. The figure turned its head, slow like a puppet on strings, same uniform, same scar above the eyebrow, same everything. I stumbled backward, flashlight shaking. My radio flared again. "Dispatch, this is 45. Got a vehicle, Route 19. Engine still running. No driver." My own voice, repeating, looping. And then the figure inside the car smiled. Small, empty. The passenger door unlocked with a soft click. The headlights dimmed. The car waited. I don't remember what happened next. I woke up at dawn, standing in the middle of Route 19, no fog, no cars, no sound but birds. My cruiser was parked neatly on the shoulder. Engine off, radio silent. The dash cam light blinked red, recording. When I checked the footage later, it showed me standing alone on the empty road, flashlight in hand, staring at nothing, but the audio told a different story. A faint voice, overlapping mine. Get in. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, I've been hearing engines outside my house at night, always idling, always faint. When I look out the window, there's never anything there. But the sound doesn't fade until morning. And last night, when I checked my dash cam again, there was new footage, time-stamped 2:13 a.m. It showed my cruiser parked on Route 19, engine running. Door open, and in the driver's seat, someone else. Someone who looked exactly like me. They say sometimes patrol cars keep their engines running long after the call's over, that the radio frequencies get crossed, looping echoes of voices from dead air. But if you ever find a car still idling on an empty road, engine purring, door open, driver gone, don't get too close, because it's not waiting for them to come back, it's waiting for you.